Hello, it's time for another cider review. It's been a very long time since I've done any cider reviews, so let's get this one open without any hesitation. This, as you can see, is Oliver's vintage fine cider, dry, and it's from 2015. It's made by a guy called Tom Oliver, based in Herefordshire, a place called Ochil Pitchard in Herefordshire, and it's quite a strong cider, 6.8%. This is a 750ml bottle. So obviously still cider, so no bubbles, and pretty kind of medium gold colour to it, nice and clear. As soon as I opened it, I got a really rich sort of vintage cider smell, which in other words it's quite a sort of woody, oaky. Well, now they weren't kidding when they said dry. It's pretty dry, but that's the kind of cider I like, to be honest. If you're used to sweet ciders, if you like drinking Bulmers or you know, any sort of mass-produced cider, you may find this a bit of a shock. It's much drier. It's got tannins in it. So it's quite a sort of, I would say, an austere kind of flavour to it. It's one of these ciders, as you keep on drinking it, you start noticing the subtleties of it. It's got a real bite in the tannins, but on top of that, it's got a nice kind of lightness to it. I'm not sure what apples they're using for it. Think of it as a really dry white wine. In fact, it's almost drier than a dry white wine, because it's got this real it carries tannins more than a white wine, I think, and because of that it just hits you up front when you take a sip. But just to sum up, it's a bone dry cider. It's really dry. To me, that's a good thing. But you know, if you're not used to dry ciders, you might taste it and think, you know, what the hell is this? It tastes like, it's almost so dry it tastes like vinegar. You know, it's almost so dry that it's sour, but it's not sour. It's actually, the more you drink it, the more you kind of get accustomed to the dryness. You get more out of it. It's also better at room temperature or close to room temperature. You don't want to drink it too chilled. I think it's also better with food. I guess, again, because of the real dryness to it, you need something to balance that out. So I think it's good with, I just had some kind of salty baked potatoes with it, and that, you know, maybe not the best thing to have with it, but it definitely made it easier to drink and brought something else out in it. So yeah, don't try and drink it alone. Have it with food. Think of it as a wine, a dry wine, and it's almost like a combination between a really dry white wine and the tannins of a red wine. So you're kind of getting a bit of both, and that doubles up to make it, you know, really quite almost a not very accessible drink at the beginning, but becomes more accessible once you get used to it. And I think it's a great drink. I think it's well worth paying the I think it's like £7 a bottle or something like that. Again, if you think of it in wine terms, then you know that's reasonable. And not quite as strong as the wine, 7%, 6.8%, but definitely think of it in those terms. and yeah, I recommend it highly. And this is the, I'd say, 2015 vintage. So it's been aged for about 18 months, I believe. And the aging process imparts the sort of woody characteristics. Definitely recommend it, and I'll be back soon for another cider review. Thanks for watching.